Welcome, friends, it's the MovieFilm Podcast. MovieFilm Podcast, enjoy the show. Zachy and Brian are talking about the movies. MovieFilm Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to MovieFilm. It is episode 239. I am Zachy Hassan. Who are you?
I'm Brian Hall.
Hey, what's happening? You sound good, I should say.
Yeah, I feel better and better. You know, it's almost ironic that I feel as better as I do. I'm coughing a lot less, but the only times I really cough are when I laugh, which means I'm guaranteed during this time up ahead to be, like I say, riding my mute button like I was last time. But
I'll just try to be very morose this episode because, what is there really to laugh about anyway?
Remember that Baywatch show, like Baywatch Nights?
Baywatch Nights.
It just feels like we could do like a movie film nights.
MovieFilm Nights.
Hey, how's it going?
Baywatch Nights. See, we need to explain this. There was a point in time in our cultural history where Baywatch was the most popular show in the world.
Can I real quick? I'll just add a little asterisk to that. So this is going to sound crazy to a lot of people. I never really watched Friends when it was airing in the late 90s, early 2000s. Like I don't know. I just kind of missed it. And I'd seen a couple episodes, but that was about it. Anyway, when Federica and I, got engaged, we wanted to learn more about each other. And she watched the first 10 seasons of The Simpsons to understand me better. And she said she does, which was so great. So I was like, well, I knew Friends was a big show for her. So I want to watch Friends. And so we're going through it right now. We're about halfway through like 5 seasons. It's crazy binging, and they're all available. And you think about all the years passing and you see their hairstyles change. But anyway, it's hilarious to me that it's a runner that Joey and Chandler are obsessed with Baywatch because it feels like such an artifact.
That is,
like, of course, at that time you would laugh because you're like, right, Baywatch. I mean, the whole world watches Baywatch. It's this funny, pulpy, goofy show, right? Yeah. So it's just funny now that I'm sort of witnessing that and I remember it, but that now we have to actually explain what it is.
It is. I mean, it's something people are not necessarily going to understand. Yeah, it was a hugely popular show, a number one show all across the world.
Yeah.
And so at its peak, at the height of its popularity, we're talking mid-90s, David Hasselhoff intuits that obviously the reason people watch Baywatch is because of David Hasselhoff.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
And if you are David Hasselhoff, what other conclusion can you draw?
Of course.
Right. Now, of course, the real reason people watched it was because you would have buxom women running in slow motion.
Right.
And that was
bathing suits at the beach.
Yeah. It was PG pornography, that show.
Yes.
Right.
That is so well put. I remember it was just such a common thing at the time, and I'd never seen it. And I remember sitting down one day like, what is this? I'm going to watch it. And it was the corniest, goofiest, like you say, like most PG thing I had ever seen. And I was like, what? This is the thing that everybody watches? Like, it's so goofy.
It really is.
Yeah.
So they launched a spinoff involving David Hasselhoff's character, lifeguard Mitch Buchanan, who decides to spend his evenings as a private detective.
Right.
So lifeguard by day,
yeah,
private detective by night. Now, no slow motion running.
No.
In the nighttime show. And so, shockingly, it doesn't do particularly well. So at that point, they're like, okay, we gotta reassess here. We gotta figure this out. David Hasselhoff, he calls a meeting of the writers. He's like, guys, we gotta, we're not doing what we need to be doing. And somebody's like, so are we gonna have any slow motion running of the women variety? And he says, I hear that, but how about this as a counterpoint? We have monsters.
Wait, I didn't even know this.
This is true. So the second season of Baywatch Nights involves Mitch Buchanan, again, lifeguard by day, private investigator by night, hunting werewolves and vampires and monsters.
Are you kidding me? I had no idea.
That is true. So let us pause and think about the fact that werewolves, monsters, and vampires exist within the Baywatch cinematic universe.
I'm surprised the movie that came out a couple years ago didn't even do some sort of minuscule riff on that.
Right?
That is
Might have been
hilarious.
a better movie. So that's a real thing that happened.
Wow. You know what's funny? This is really interesting to me, and I don't even remember how we got here.
Yeah, and yeah. How did yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, but it's great.
Anyway, so what's new with you? How you doing?
I'm good. Feeling much better, and Federica's feeling much better, and it's nice. It feels nice to be back on the rebound here, and January 2022 kicking off.
I was about to say we have to set like a little marker in time. We are recording at the early part of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
The COVID situation is morphing yet again.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course we're in the clutches of the Omicron situation. I just read, however, there's yet another variant.
Oh, I haven't heard this.
I think in Cyprus that, and I'm not making this up. It combines the Delta and the Omicron. They're calling it the Deltacron variant. I swear to God, I'm not making that up. But it is. We are in Voltron territory with this virus now.
Oh man, I will admit, seeing Scream last night, I felt very safe at the theaters in my personal experience, between masking up and going at times when it hasn't been that crowded. It's not been a concern for me, but last night seeing Scream on, it's, I guess opening night, Thursday. I don't know if it's opening, but, that was the most crowded theater I've been in in 2 years.
Wow.
And, it was a little like, okay, you have certain people that aren't wearing masks and they're not even eating. So you're like, okay, well, that's not nice. And then you got people coughing and not covering their mouths and you're just like, and
on the one hand you say, well, gosh, people are getting sick of it, all of this. I get it. But there's also maybe the bare minimum.
I do feel like if you're going to go out and you're going to be with a crowd of people, there's just a level of respect.
Yes.
Respect for those around you and whatnot. And that's, I think also, I know in different areas all over the world, people are experiencing different sorts of, cultural, the way people are exercising this sort of thing. And maybe I'm spoiled a little bit because out here, I feel like people are pretty, game for all of this. And so it's more rare for me to experience something like that and be like, well, why aren't they doing that?
Yeah, no, that's true.
But yeah, like you say, I mean, it's a marker in time here.
It every time there's a new variant that gets unveiled, it's like the new Apple Expo, like they announce the new variant.
I know.
It feels a little bit like, I don't know if you've seen this, but this is a reference I've made before. But in the first Resident Evil film, there's a scene where the characters are trapped in this hallway with a laser grid.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And if you have not seen that, just go to YouTube and type in Resident Evil laser hallway, I'm assuming.
Okay.
And you'll know what I mean. So check that out.
Okay.
And that goes for all you.
How's this relate?
So I almost, if you haven't seen it, I almost feel like you just got to watch it.
Okay.
But basically, these people are trying to get across a hallway, and let's just say it's very difficult.
Okay.
So you little leaguers, if you want to go ahead and look that up, you can see what I'm talking about, and then we'll reconvene next time.
Sounds good.
That enough of a tease for you, Brian?
Yep. That's enough for me to want to go see what that's about.
I think you'll know exactly what I mean. But what have you seen recently? Anything interesting of note?
Well, I'm going to start off with something that is very, very old, but I thought I may as well mention it because it actually brought me a lot of delight, which was a movie called Rock and Roll High School. Have you ever heard of this?
I've heard of it, but I'm drawing a blank about whether I've seen it or not.
So this is from, I want to say 1980 or maybe even 1979. And it's a Roger Corman movie. And the only thing I knew about it was, it's like kids hate high school and suddenly the Ramones blow the roof off, and so a friend of mine on Facebook or something, he posted a picture of him DVRing it. Like, hey, this classic's on tonight. And I was like, well, I love the Ramones. And, I don't know. So I DVR'd it. It was on Turner Classic Movies. And And then one night I forgot about it. It was like 10:30 at night and I wasn't tired. So I was like, I gotta watch something. Oh yeah, I watched this Rock and Roll High School. Dude, this is just like that total thing you've seen a parody of where it's like, all the kids are bored at school, but then, this girl starts playing the Ramones and everybody throws their papers in the air and is like, Rock and Roll High School, yeah! And then there's like the stuffy principal and she's like trying to prove that rock and roll is dangerous. So she puts these little headphones on these mice and then the mice blow up when they listen to rock and roll. The first 20 minutes, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to finish this, but I just kept going because I had nothing else to do. And by the end, I was like, what a freaking blast that was. I don't even know why I'm explaining the plot, but basically, this girl who's like a Ramones fanatic wants to write a song for them. So she tries to go see them in town and she has to skip school and whatever. She gets the song to them and then they show up in the Ramones mobile at the end of the movie and they're like, this song's awesome. Your school sucks. And then they like, then they like play, and all the kids are dancing and the police are there, having papers thrown at them. And then for some reason, the school just literally blows up. And it was like, what it felt like? It was so sloppy. Like the filmmaking of it. I looked it up. It was made for $200,000. But it truly felt like some kids had a fun idea. And they're like, let's just make this on the weekends. And like everybody in it looked like they were having a blast. And they're like, maybe by some miracle, the Ramones will show up and we'll be able to finish our movie. And that's like what happens. And they show up at the end. There's even like almost like 20 minutes or more footage, just straight up like concert footage of the Ramones playing at the Roxy or something. And when it was over, I was like all energized. I was like, that was so fun. So anyway, I just had to mention it. I don't know if it'll be for everybody, but if that sounds at all intriguing to you, like if you're just looking for a complete dessert of a sloppy, silly, fun movie where it looks like everyone's having a blast, and if you love the Ramones,
where can people find it?
I think you can find it on Prime.
Okay.
Like I said, I watched it on Turner Classic Movies, so I wonder even if you could stream it if you have that available to you. But yeah, an unexpected blast. So.
Well, I while you're talking about stuff that's a little older, I wanted to mention a thing that I've been watching.
Yeah.
I have, as you know, I moved recently and I've been going through boxes and things, and I have boxes and boxes of like TV shows on DVD that I've just,
right.
They were just boxed up. I have a big collection of this stuff, and I was like, I should like make my way through this. So just on a lark, I put on The Fugitive, the old, the television show from the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This is the one that inspired the film that I'm sure most people,
right,
if they know of it, they know from the movie. And so I started watching it, and I'm like, this is just a really good show.
Yeah, just solid.
It is. I mean, this is a show that's almost 60 years old at this point, and it still holds up. It's just good drama. David Jansen plays Richard Kimball, and obviously he's got a very different gear than Harrison Ford. Who, right. Harrison Ford, especially in the film, is like sort of perpetually frantic Harrison Ford. Right?
Yeah, sure.
Which is a gear that works great for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, because of the nature of the television show, where it's more of a longitudinal story, you have this character going from town to town. If anyone has seen the Incredible Hulk television series,
sure.
That was a riff on The Fugitive.
Mm-hmm.
Goes from town to town. He encounters some kind of a problem that he helps out in, and then he's got to beat it out before the Inspector Gerard,
right, like helping someone, but he always has someone hot on his tail.
Exactly, right. So it's and meanwhile he's searching for the one arm man, and it's so interesting because Jansen has this like tormented energy where like you just you imagine him just being perpetually on guard, like he doesn't know what one thing will make him stand out and arouse somebody's suspicion about something. And it's amazing how even when he's not saying anything, you can see that in his performance, and that doesn't just happen,
Right.
And he's so likable and charming. I mean, it's just I've been just really enjoying watching this old ass TV show.
Yeah. Whenever I watch something older, I don't know
Old ass.
Old ass.
Yeah, we gotta call it old ass.
I mean, it just there does feel like something in the writing, just solid is the word that comes to mind. Like really, like clinical sounds so sterile. That's not the word I mean, but it's like it just feels really well composed and gosh, I'm struggling. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes when you watch older stuff, it's like there's just sort of like the fundamentals. You know
There
what I
you
mean? When you like it just it really cared about the fundamentals, and it makes for a very, and maybe it's a bit drier occasionally,
Mhm.
but like on the other hand, it can also make for a really rip roaring, engaging character study. You
Yeah.
know, which maybe nowadays, I mean, we still get those. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but like sometimes we might like trade some of that stuff in for sizzle. And while the sizzle is super satisfying, sometimes there's something to be said about trusting good character fundamentals.
I think that's well said. And I think, then as now, the cream rose to the top.
Mm,
So,
right.
I mean, there was plenty of stuff from that era that is just forgotten, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yet, to some extent, I mean, obviously, the original television version of The Fugitive does not have currency with the modern audience necessarily, but it's still a brand that people know,
Right.
and it's still something that's part of the conversation when you talk about high points in the history of television, and that doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
So this is a show. Again, I would assume people listening here at least know the film, even if they haven't seen the television show. It's worth tracking down. I don't know that it's available on streaming, but I do know they show it on Pluto TV,
Oh, right.
and
Yeah.
and I would imagine that the DVD sets are relatively cheap.
Yeah. You know, that reminds me, by the way, I was at like a revival theater like a month or two or whatever ago, and they do series, right? So it'll be Los Angeles films, and they show Terminator 2 in Chinatown, and one of the series that was coming up, they showed a trailer for was Harrison Ford's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and it was Air Force One and The Fugitive and something else, and I just thought, oh, that's really creative.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
So I actually just went on Amazon right now,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got I mean, I was just curious how much the complete series is. You can get the complete series of The Fugitive for under $50 on Amazon.
Oh, wow.
And I'll tell you what, that is money well spent. Anybody listening, you won't regret having done that.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. You know what it's reminding me of also? What I was trying to express earlier was when I read Quentin Tarantino's novelization of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there
Mhm.
are entire chapters that are just straight up bounty law stories, which was the fictional Western, like the
Right, yeah.
show in the movie. And it was funny because they weren't, like I said, there wasn't a lot of sizzle, but there was a lot of tension. And I
Sure.
found myself like, it was about cattle wranglers and, people coming to town. But I found myself like engrossed in it. And I was like, I would watch this. Like, and it's funny too, because then in my work, when I've been having to pitch stories, I found myself remembering some of the tropes and whatnot that were in some of those bounty law stories that I read. And I was like, wow, these are just sort of evergreen. You just apply them to different settings. But
It is weird. Like I find that some of those older 50s, 60s shows are more rewatchable than many shows from the 80s, for example.
I wonder why that is.
Yeah. Like when we look at
say
like
Chips or
hour-long
something.
dramas. Say again?
Like I was gonna say like Chips or something.
You know what's funny? That's like when I said more rewatchable than the image I had in my head was Eric Estrada on his motorcycle. So it's weird that
is amazing.
we had that exact thought. Yeah, like you don't sit there and be like, I feel like doing a complete series rewatch of Chips.
Right.
I mean, and
I don't know why.
I'm sure it's fine. Like that's the point I'm making is not, oh, that show sucked. I'm sure it's fine, and I'm sure I could probably stand to watch an episode or two, but it's not something I feel compelled to go through.
Right.
Although I listen to that theme music all the time. Yeah, that is in fact my coming down the stairs in the morning music. I just play it on my phone because that's just what you do. Right?
That's what you do.
I should mention we were talking about Baywatch earlier. I think I've said this before, but like when I cook eggs for the family, I'm like, oh wait, I gotta make my cooking eggs music, and I play the Baywatch theme.
Do you really?
Yeah, that's true.
That's like right?
Yeah.
You're like drums.
So, but what's funny is that the kid's never seen Baywatch, right? So I'm like,
Yeah.
one day they're gonna watch Baywatch and be like, what's wrong with our dad? Like,
You're like, oh, that's the eggs music.
yeah, it's scrambled egg music, you know.
That's funny you don't play the Frasier song.
I know I should. That would make more sense, right? But I don't make tossed salads. Only
Yeah,
scrambled eggs.
No.
Anyway, what else have you seen?
Well, I watched a documentary that's on Disney Plus under the National Geographic banner.
Yes.
It's called The Rescue. And this is about when in Thailand, this youth soccer team got stuck way deep in this cave that suddenly started.
And they had to eat each other to survive.
No.
It was a different team.
Different team.
Okay.
Okay. No, so basically this movie it's by the team that made Free Solo. I know we talked about that. Did you see that?
We did. Yeah. Oh yeah. I loved it.
Oh man, so good. That's by the way, if people haven't seen Free Solo, highly recommend that. That's a great documentary. Anyway, so what the story of this
Free Solo, by the way, the alternate title of Return of the Jedi. I don't know if you knew that.
That's right. Camera pushes in Free Solo. Yeah. So this team, this youth soccer team. It's so funny because this is like such a serious film.
Sorry, focus.
No.
World War II. Okay, go ahead.
World War II. So that used to be when Zach and I were making movies together, and I was laughing too hard, and I had to compose myself. I would say,
yeah, that's right. You know what's funny is I have adopted that into my vernacular, and I forgot I got it from you.
Man, those are the days.
Oh man.
Okay, so this team in this perilous situation, truly, they're stuck in this cave, and you have the Thai Navy SEALs and military and the U.S. military and all these people over there, and they just can't figure out how to get to these kids, right? And so enter these hobbyists who are extreme cave divers. And so they're these just sort of goofy, like, self-described, like we're pudgy, middle-aged dudes who just love to do this on weekends. And they even, say they all have this in common. Like we didn't have a lot of friends growing up and, we're a little socially awkward, but they found this hobby where they feel liberated. And it turns out they are just the men needed to help with this operation. Honestly, it's a lot like Armageddon. And so
wow.
this team comes together, and the military and all these experts are like, who are you? Like we have training, whatever. And but these guys prove their mettle immediately, and they're able to get through areas that these other people have tried and failed to get through. And I won't get into where it goes because I didn't know very much about it when I watched it, and I kind of appreciated that experience. But it's a really riveting and tense, dramatic, documentary. And I think there's some recreation involved, and it blends in seamlessly because they did have what seems to be GoPro cameras or the like, on their helmets. But then there's also other footage where you go, oh, I bet they recreated that. But it blends in almost perfectly.
Wow,
so
amazing.
As if you're watching the whole thing unfold. But I would say, to my eye, there was a surprising amount of actual footage and then a seamless amount of recreated footage as well. And I mean, just the thing that I love about it is also there's just, when you're in this perilous situation, you'd like to think, oh, well, there's a machine for this. Like, oh, there's the jaws of life or there's the something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in some scenarios, there's literally nothing. And you have to think outside of the box, and everyone's going to tell you you're wrong, but it's like, what do you do? Like the clock is ticking. we have to try something that's never been done before. We have to trust people that like make absolutely no sense to trust. And that's what the story is. And I really enjoyed it. So I highly recommend it.
So this is Disney Plus.
Disney Plus, it's called The Rescue. And I think you have to go to, you know how there's like the Star Wars banner.
It's
Marvel
the
banner,
National Geographic
National
vertical.
Geographic. Yeah.
Well, you have me intrigued.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely want to hear what you think if you check it out.
I will definitely be doing that.
Cool.
Uh,
I think the whole family, I think it's only rated PG. And it's a really,
well, then screw that. No, I'm just joking.
I'm just saying the family can enjoy it. It's tense, but it's I don't know. It's inspiring too. You're just watching people be their best selves, you know,
Yeah.
and rise to the occasion. And then lastly, I finally caught Licorice Pizza, which you talked about a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay. This is the movie where they scheduled a screening just for me.
Yes, that's right. No, that I love that. I love. I wish I could have gone with you. That would have been so much fun. I remember going to see Solo with you. That was a blast.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh God, can you believe that was what we're coming up on 4 years ago now?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Wow.
So what are your thoughts on this? I'm curious because you are much more of a P.T. Anderson aficionado than I am.
Yeah, I guess it's worth mentioning then that I'm definitely a Paul Thomas Anderson fan. There are ones, I mean, controversially perhaps, I kind of didn't get The Master. And I know people are going to go, what? But I found it more visually sumptuous than I did something that I connected with. But it's also something I'd like to watch again now that I sort of have an understanding what it is. And like his movies just visually are always, I'll go see anything he does strictly because of the visuals. And then if I get a fantastic story, which I tend to, that's just even a bonus. But, you know, I love Phantom Thread. Punch Drunk Love, I think, is way underrated and should be spoken about more. You know, Boogie Nights goes without saying. Anyway.
There will be blood, of course.
There will be blood, of course. So when I saw this trailer, when it came out maybe summer, I was like in the bag already. I was like, yeah, that's going to be probably my favorite movie of the year. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know why, but that's probably going to be this. I'm going to love this. And then it sort of eluded me for several weeks, and I was seeing the reviews and it seemed to be mostly good. I know there's some like film Twitter discussion about things that we can talk about, but so I went in like, oh no, like the bar's too high. But I gotta say, I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
I want to hear this because as we said, I was just like, I was like, it's fine, I guess. Like that was me.
You know what? And I totally get it. I absolutely get it. And I think I even had that in my head while I was watching it a little bit. And I would say maybe about 30 minutes in, like, for example, I mean, this is a Hang movie, right? Like this is totally a string of stories.
Yes. It's a vignettes.
It's vignettes. It's almost like you're reading someone's journal about their summer and these things don't connect. I mean, they do. There's a thread, but it's not like there's some big setup at the beginning that's paid off at the end, and you know that sort of thing. And I'm kind of a sucker for those films if I connect with them. Like, obviously, you know, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood just really connected with me. But I know with that one, like from the jump, I was in, and in this one, I was like, okay, like you know, like I'm willing to go on this ride, but I am like observing rather than feeling, I suppose. But as the story went along, I found myself suddenly, you know, invested. I think without getting into spoilers, you know, there's this, well, actually, yeah, I'm just going to totally avoid spoilery sorts of moments.
Yeah. I think you can discuss it without spoiling it.
Yeah. But just as the events go along, it's basically about this really unique relationship between this younger boy and this older girl. And the younger boy is, you know, incredibly ambitious and he's a go-getter and he's always got something that he's thinking about doing next. And then you've got the older girl who realizes that she's older, but that she's not sure what she's interested in. And she's not sure she has an aim and she's searching for something to be passionate about. And they meet and they just thrive off of one another. And and it's obviously it's made some people uncomfortable, and I totally understand that. But I just thought the movie did a really amazing job of each character felt totally realized to me. And I understood why they would be drawn to one another. Then I had understood why they would drive each other crazy. And ultimately why they basically kind of thrive off of one another, you know, and inspire one another. And whether or not, you know, I mean, certainly at this time being romantic wouldn't be quite appropriate, but like, and the movie teases that, of course, because there is some sort of attraction and connection between them, but they really do just sort of energize one another, while at the same time they keep having these reasons to sort of get angry with one another. And I just bought it. I think the performances were really great. I thought the situations that they were in were great. There's a scene that I'll just say, you know, that has John Peters played by Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, which I mentioned when we talked.
Yeah, in a truck, and it is dude, that whole sequence. I think that was when the movie completely had its claws in me, and and not only because it's hilarious and gripping and like really entertaining, but then at the end of it, where those characters land just felt so real to me. You know, their responses to the situation and their feelings about one another. And then just for the rest of the film, I was just so on track with them, and individually, and also their, you know, I guess connection with one another. But on top of that, you know, it's like I said earlier, I mean, it's beautifully shot. It has this kind of 70s faded hazy look, you know, but it's still got occasional bursts of that Anderson bombast, you know, like there's a scene at a golf course where Sean Penn is on a motorcycle,
Which that was one of my favorite vignettes.
Everything, dude, I loved everything about it. I loved the Alana, the character played by Alana Haim, but Alana and her interactions with Penn, and then where it goes with Penn and that director, and then what happens with Gary in that scene too, like as just a whole vignette. I mean, visually it was really, you know, it just burst off the screen, and it was funny, and it was kind of harrowing, and then it was ultimately very sweet. Yeah, I don't know. This movie was just my jam. I loved it.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, and sorry,
I don't mean to cut you off. I think ultimately for me, I didn't like Gary. I found him really obnoxious, and that was the issue I kept having. So I was liking, as I said, the little vignettes all work for me. Alana, the storyline with the politician, and then, you know, the John Peters thing, and you know, the thing with Sean Penn and stuff. But ultimately, I'm like, God, I just don't like this kid. He annoys me.
You know what's funny? I totally get that, and I think a lot of that has to do with his immaturity. And she tempers some of the immaturity, but like he also has a really interesting ambition. Like he's growing, you know what I mean? He's growing into who he'll be, and he will have his edges shaved at some point, but we're witnessing a teenager.
Yeah.
You know, who's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes, but like, I thought, man, in the wrong hands, I might've really disliked him. Or maybe, you know, been put off by him more, but I thought Cooper Hoffman.
I do want to mention that Cooper Hoffman is really good. Like this kid's going to be a talent.
You know, and that's the thing. I mean, this is such a weird character where it's like degrees. I mean, if you go degrees this way, you freaking hate him, and maybe you did, and I totally understand that. But you go another degrees, and you don't believe that he could pull off the things that he's doing. And apparently, these are based on stories that a friend of Anderson's has told him, you know, where he was like a teenager and started a waterbed business and all this stuff. And you're like, I don't know. You just shrug and go 70s, you know, I don't know how this kid was able to do this. But, yeah, I really, I don't know, something weird about it. But you know what? The fact that they also didn't feel 100% right together, I think is maybe helpful. Because you don't want them to be like Jack and Rose in Titanic or something, you know?
Yes. See, but you know, but to your point, like I found the way he approaches her like off-putting.
Sure.
Like right off the top, and I think that it felt unhealthy to me, the whole thing.
You know, I can see that. You know, I mean, I can't argue with that. Like, I understand. I think maybe also, you know, it helps when you're watching a movie too, where it's like those two are on the poster. So you're like,
Mhm.
oh, here's where they meet, right? But
Right.
you're right. Like, I mean, in a real life situation, if some kid just started, hey, how's it going? To like some older woman, you might be like, shoe fly, you know, like leave her alone. But
Yeah.
I think that's a good point. But
Uh,
yeah.
Well, I mean, this movie is going to be part of the Oscar conversation, so I'm assuming the discourse will be entirely reasoned and well articulated, and
Yeah, and you know, it's funny too. I've seen a lot of things coming up about how much running there is in this movie.
there is a lot of running.
And even Federico was just like, "Wow, they're running again." But I don't know. It just worked for me. Like, it's just the energy of it, and it almost felt like a necessary cinematic visual representation of this weird energy, you know, pull that these people just can't help, you know, with one another. And I loved her, you know, when she kind of tries to get away from him and finds her own thing, and that was interesting too. And then there's just this weird pull, like they just kind of care about one another. I don't know. I actually I can't wait to watch it again.
Well, there we go. So that's Brian's thoughts on Licorice Pizza.
Yeah.
I saw one last thing that I just saw. This just dropped on HBO Max. It's the Peacemaker television show.
Yeah. I am so curious about this.
So this is spinning out of the events of the Suicide Squad last fall. This show. I mean, essentially James Gunn, who wrote and directed the Suicide Squad, was so enamored of the character that he pitched this as a series to HBO Max, and they ran with it.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's here. John Cena is back in the title role. He's also one of the executive producers, I believe. And this was a show that when it was first announced, I was like, huh?
Right.
This is before the movie even came out. And then I saw the film and I found the character really awful.
Right.
So I was like, huh?
Yeah.
And then, you know, I was like, hey, you know, I want to give it a shot. And they've dropped 3 episodes thus far, and I'm like 2.5 episodes in.
Uh-huh.
And I am absolutely loving this show.
You know, I gotta say, I saw that it was dropping. I didn't even know it was out yet. And I thought, I'll probably be okay without this. And then I mean, if it comes across my television, you know, whatever. But then I just saw this morning the opening credits for it.
Yes.
And I was like, I think I might check this out.
So what Brian is describing is this very elaborate dance number.
Yeah.
Involving John Cena and literally the entire cast in character. Doing like on like a 70s disco set.
Yeah, and they're just doing this funny choreographed but sort of stilted dance together, and it just looks so ridiculous. And I was like, all right.
It's so this does pick up. I mean, it picks up right where the Suicide Squad ended.
Okay.
And so you have, you know, the character Peacemaker in that film does some pretty reprehensible things, and so there is this journey that he's on where it's sort of grappling with that, but it is very much in the James Gunn wheelhouse where it's heightened reality, very, you know, very vulgar, extremely vulgar, and very profane. But I found it very funny, but I also found it very charming. And part of it's because John Cena is just, I mean, the guy, he's just a charismatic performer.
Yeah.
He just is. Like, I enjoy watching him. And I'm, you know, and you've got like the Peacemaker dancing around in his tighty whities to like 70s disco. And you know, there's a part of you that's like, this is in the same like universe as like, you know, do you bleed? You will, you know, and I love that. Like, that's not me mocking that film. I'm like, I love that we're doing this with the DC world now, where you can expand it outward.
Yeah.
And say, hey, all these shades exist here.
Yeah.
I kind of love that, you know?
Yeah.
And then I also love that HBO Max is a vehicle that allows for, I mean, where else would a show like this exist?
Right.
You know what I mean? There's not going to be a Peacemaker movie. I'm not sure I want to see a Peacemaker movie. I also don't want to see the network version of this.
Yeah.
And so you've got this pipeline to be able to do stuff like that, you know?
It's almost an embarrassment of riches, even.
It
You
is.
know, because it's something where I'm like, oh, I may check it out. You know, and it's
Yeah,
like,
right.
and I'm sure at some point I will, and I'll probably enjoy it. But it's, yeah, it affords those opportunities, right? I mean, I was talking about this with MacGruber. I mean, where else would that thing have
Yeah.
been able to exist? Like a movie that absolutely tanked
Yeah.
when it came out, but then we just got an 8-episode series because Peacock needs content, and like,
Yeah.
and I benefit from it because I get more MacGruber. Me and Christopher Nolan benefit.
Yeah, it's the when we look, because I think it's still in development. There's like a Gotham Police Department show.
Right.
You know, it's tying in with the Matt Reeves movie.
Mm-hmm.
With Jeffrey Wright and whatever, and I'm like, that's like, what a great idea, Jim Gordon TV show.
Absolutely.
That's not that other Jim Gordon TV show.
I was like, wait, oh, wasn't there one?
You know, the Commissioner Gordon. You know,
Yeah.
I love that you can do that, and the DC. I mean, clearly with the DC stuff, they're figuring out what the hell they're going to do.
Yeah.
They're breaking some eggs, clearly. It is funny because Ben Affleck has been out making the rounds for the Tender Bar and whatever, and he's giving interviews in Spanish, where he's like, I'm not playing Batman anymore, and here's why, you know, because of course that's going to come up, right? And you still got people online like, so you saying there's a chance, you know? It's like, I think he's extremely done. And it's actually very funny because he gave some interview. Entertainment Weekly published an interview where it's like a conversation between him and Matt Damon.
Yeah, I read it. It's good. It's fun.
Very good interview. And in the course of that, you know, as they're talking, Affleck mentioned, he's like, you, meaning Matt Damon, are one of the people who convinced me not to do Batman anymore because I wasn't happy and whatever. You know, I mean, there's more context there. And I found first of all, I find their continued friendship this many years later is just like, it kind of gives me life a little bit. It's like
very charming. Yeah.
Right. And so here's my entree into this whole thing. So I read that. It says, you know, Matt Damon convinced Ben Affleck to quit playing Batman. So I just tweeted this thing. I was like, you know, just watch. You're going to have a bunch of people coming after Damon, like the Treadstone assassins
right.
from the Bourne movie. Now, Brian, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I think it's a funny joke.
Yeah. I thought it's funny. You put a funny image in my head.
Isn't that all you want, ultimately?
Tweaked Bourne poster, yeah.
So you know, the normal lifespan of a tweet is like 5-6 hours of people interacting, and you're done. And the next day, I wake up and I'm just bombarded with notifications.
Wow!
Because certain folks got it, and they got real upset. Not because I made the joke, but because I'm spreading lies. They're like, stop lying. And I'm like, stop lying about what?
Insinuated about a group of people.
And I'm like, and I'm saying, it's a joke. It's just a joke. That's all it is.
Yeah.
They're like, you lack journalistic integrity. I'm like, it's just a joke. And then they're like, no, you're only saying it's a joke now that it's not true. And I'm like, did you think I was serious when I said people are going after him like assassins from the Jason Bourne movie?
Right.
You know, and it occurs to him, I'm like, you know, I can't imagine going through life being that thin-skinned about something that inconsequential.
I see. You know, I'm trying to recontextualize it and imagine. The first thing that comes to mind is, of course, Alf. And so, like, if Alf was like, you know, the show, they're like, you know, I talked to my buddy Matt Damon and, you know, Paul Fusco or whoever created it. You know, it's like, and it was just taking a toll, and he convinced me that maybe the best thing to do was to, you know, whatever, and you be done. Wrap it up. And you can imagine like, oh, well, you know, fans of Alf aren't going to be too happy with Matt Damon. And you'd be like, yeah, I bet. You know, like,
right?
It's light. But then when you transfer that onto a group that, you know, maybe is a bit self-serious, well, then you get that.
You invoke the wrath. Now, you know, I in order to like not go insane on Twitter, I mute words and phrases and accounts and everything. So most of this stuff just passes me by entirely.
Oh wow! So there's a whole load of messages you may not have seen.
I yeah, like I only know because I can see the number of replies
I see.
versus the actual replies that I see.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, well, I know that there's some kind of a hurricane brewing, and I only became aware of it because people were pointing out, oh man, people are really going after you, and yeah, to your point, you know, the Alf example, or you know, hey, g- how, as long as I've been alive, uh, uh, being a Trekkie
Hmm.
is considered a pejorative, right? There's all the
Sure.
cliches about being a Star Trek fan.
Right.
Brian, I'm a big Star Trek fan.
Yeah. You dork.
Whenever I hear jokes about
Okay.
Trekkies, I'm like,
Oh, I thought you were trying to get me to like role playing or something.
oh no. I'm a Star Trek fan, and whenever I hear jokes about Trekkies, I say and I move on.
Right.
What else can you do?
Right.
But anyway, the point is, Ben Affleck is not coming back. That's okay. We get to see him one more time playing Batman.
Yeah. Flash.
In the Flash movie, and hopefully that he has said that was the most fun he's had playing the role ever. So
well, you know, he went on. I don't remember in the EW interview, but somewhere he explained. You know, it's not that he necessarily hated the movie itself. It was like there was just a lot going on in life. There was a lot going on for Zack Snyder, and he's like, it was just a heavy moment in time. You know, there was a lot that was dragging down, you know, that experience. So
and by the way, I have no doubt that the reshoots under Joss Whedon, were just goddamn awful.
It sounds that way from a lot of accounts.
There is not one person involved with that movie who has anything positive to say about the Joss Whedon reshoots.
Right.
So let's stipulate that in the record, that clearly that was a miserable thing. And so who knows, had that experience gone better, you know, maybe Affleck would be doing another Batman. Who the hell knows, right? It is what it is.
It is what it is.
You know? But I mean, I hope ultimately he's happier for not doing the role.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to what we were saying about just in general with all these DC things, I'm appreciative of the variety of tones they seem to be shooting for.
Yes, sure.
I mean, just in terms of the stuff that's due out this year, I mean, it feels like there's going to be something there for almost everybody, you know?
Yeah.
When you know, between the Super Pets movie,
right.
That animated thing, and then of course the Batman coming up. Batman is coming up.
Dude, I know. I saw the trailer again last night, and I was like, I am ready.
Yeah, I am ready. Pour it in my veins.
Yeah.
So the Peacemaker series is streaming on HBO Max right now. 3 episodes have dropped. I think there's a total of 7 that are going to. I'm assuming they'll be weekly from here on in, but you can watch the first 3 right now.
Cool.
So let's take a short break and talk through some listener letters. All right, we are back, and hey, we have a letter here. This is from Jeffrey Meisner, who says, "Hi, Zachy and Brian. First of all, I just wanted to say I'm glad Brian and Federica are feeling better.
Oh, thank you so much.
I was very excited to hear both your thoughts on Spider-Man No Way Home, and I agree wholeheartedly with both of you. I just had a take to share on the mechanics of Doctor Strange's final, the world will forget Peter Parker spell. Strange just says forget Peter Parker, which should technically mean it's just people's memories being affected, not a total purge of any physical remnant of his existence. But what about all that stuff left behind that would spoil the secret? Wouldn't the people of the MCU wonder just who this Peter Parker is that they've been tweeting about? Wouldn't People magazine covers announcing Peter Parker is Spider-Man be found in MCU dentist's office for many years to come? It's a very minute detail in an ending that was completely satisfying. So I'm not complaining, just pointing it out. I'm a geek. It's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
He then says, love the show. Hope to hear a Spider-Man commentary soon. And yeah, it is the 20th anniversary of the first Spider-Man film. So I would not be surprised for a commentary track. So do you have thoughts on this, Brian?
I like that take. The dentist office, that's the perfect example. Like some magazine that's like a year old, you know, on a table. It's so weird. Certain movies I get hung up on details, and certain stories I just don't, you know. And this, I'm not saying I have a take on this, because even walking out of No Way Home, I was like, yeah, I get it. You know, like, like I am resonating more with the emotional stakes of the story and so I'm not thinking too hard about the logistical stakes. I mean, we did talk about it when we walked out in the parking lot. Like, what does that mean and whatnot? But I'm just happy to go along with it personally. You know, sort of like one of my favorite explanations of all time of how something works is in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. And they're in the time machine, and Bill says to Rufus, "How does it work?" And Rufus goes, "Modern technology. That's all you need." Like, oh, I love it. So yeah, for me that was enough. But I don't know what's your. I haven't thought. I guess to really answer it, I haven't really thought about it. I just kind of went with it.
My one word answer is magic.
Right.
Which, I mean, ultimately, I feel like any clarification is probably going to come in the next movie.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of
they tend
the
to do that, don't they? Address like the conversations that cropped up after movies. Like the next movie tends to have like a line to address it.
I mean, yeah, like it almost feels like they have to, right?
Right.
It's I don't know. I think that. Yeah, well, before I even get into the specifics of this, it does remind me a little bit of the end of Avengers Endgame, specifically when we have the old Steve Rogers, right? So there is an emotional culmination that feels very satisfying when we see the wrap up of Steve Rogers' story, right? And the movie very deliberately sidesteps, well, does that mean that when he went back in time, he was like living in the background of everything happening in the MCU we've been seeing? Does it mean that he was in like an offshoot timeline and he came back to the main timeline to give Falcon the shield? Right? Those are questions, right?
Sure.
The movie entirely sidesteps it because why? There's just something about the emotion of seeing him on that bench.
Or like, Marty McFly, when he returns to the altered 1985, I mean, does he have a whole now current alternate childhood that he does not know?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, because his house, his family, everything has changed around him, but he's surprised to see it. So it hasn't magically caught up with his brain. So it's, but I'm like, I don't know. Now he's got to go help his kids. Let's go.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it, right? It's there's sort of the emotional satisfaction, that exists. That's a feeling, and it's best not to delve too deeply into it. And unlike Back to the Future, well, we're never going to get an answer to that,
right?
I mean, one presumes we'll probably get some answer to it. But anyway, going back to what Jeff mentioned specifically, here's my theory. I think all of that stuff still exists, but the nature of the spell is such that you just look past it.
Yeah, maybe it's adaptive.
Yeah, because it's not changing reality, but it's changing people's minds, right? So it's you have a memory of going on a trip with like a field trip with somebody, and you're like, yeah, you were there, and there was that somebody else is there too, right? I don't know who that was, like that.
Yeah.
And like if you come across a tweet about Peter Parker or a People magazine cover, whatever, like just mentally, you just don't acknowledge it. You just move past it. That's my theory.
Right.
But like I said, there's actually precedent for this in the comic books because there was a character called the Sentry. And he was introduced, I want to say in the late 90s, but he was introduced as a retcon character. So the idea is he was introduced as a character who existed at the birth of like the Marvel age of super, like when, as if he had been there when the Fantastic Four first showed up and all those other characters. And he was like their best friend. And then something happened and evidence of his existence had to be erased.
Right.
And so I that might have even been a Doctor Strange thing. Now that I think about it, I'd have to look that up. But essentially, everyone forgets having ever known him. So, like, Peter Parker won a Pulitzer for taking pictures of the Sentry.
Okay.
But he has no memory of having won that Pulitzer. Nobody else remembers Peter Parker winning a Pulitzer because nobody remembers the Sentry.
Interesting.
Like that.
So there's precedence for this. This anomaly.
There is.
Yeah.
So that's there's that.
Yeah. Nice.
But the longer version, we'll find out, next time.
Yeah. They tend to do that, right? I mean, even recently, without getting into specifics, I suppose, but people wondered how the blip worked, right?
Yeah.
And we are still seeing new insight into how that was experienced by people.
That's right.
So
yeah,
I'm sure it'll be some sort of some mention of it in the future.
It is, I saw a very funny tweet recently where commenting on how the Marvel Universe has this really cataclysmic event happen where people blink out of existence, people come back, and just the social and psychological trauma that would entail. And somebody tweeting like, "Come on, how realistic is this?" And then you look at everything that's been happening the last 2 years.
I know.
Like, yeah,
yeah, we revert pretty quickly.
We do, right? So thank you for that, Jeff. And just one headline I did want to make sure we discussed is some very sad news, and it does feel like we've had a lot of really notable people passing away in rapid succession. But this one hit me really hard, and I would assume you as well, Brian. Bob Saget passed away last week.
Yeah. It's we've mentioned this so many times, but it's the older you get, the people who start passing away are the people who were really sort of a part of your life, like more and more and more. It's not like, that actor, I've heard of them, and then it becomes like, wait, that person's been a part of my life ever since I was a child.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, of course, for all of us, Full House, of course. And then also America's Funniest Home Videos.
That's right.
Which I don't think gets talked about a ton because really, YouTube has become America's Funniest Home Videos in some sort of a way. But that was a show that you sat down on Sunday night and watched.
Yep.
And he was just such a lovable guy. I mean, we knew him sort of as like the Danny Tanner persona. And I think it was a little bit of a carryover of that, right? Like just the funny, goofy, dorky kind of guy doing voices over the videos. And it's just like, it endeared us to him forever,
Yeah. And first of all, 65 is, it is young. I mean, it's so he did die, before his time. But even still, to the point you're making, yeah, I mean, he was just sort of a fact of existence, and I remember this is a story about me. I remember being in high school, and being my sense of humor at that time was described by a girl who I found attractive, by the way, as being like Bob Saget. Now, that was meant in a demeaning way.
Like corny?
Yes.
Sure, okay.
But I remember being like, no, I'll take it, I guess,
Right, he's on TV.
It's like, yeah, you're more like Bob Saget. That's what the context of that,
Yeah. She's like, why can't you be more like Pauly Shore?
Yeah. But I distinctly remember that, and I distinctly remember my thinking being like, it could be worse. But what's hilarious is Bob Saget was the exact opposite of that in terms of his stand-up persona, right? I
remember that being a revelation.
Yes, exactly.
Wait, what? Like when it was discovered that, his stand-up comedy persona was incredibly vulgar, which was, I mean, it was almost in my memory. It was sort of like a story, like,
yes,
you know him as Danny Tanner, but man, if you see him on the road.
It feels like every 80s kid had that moment,
yes,
where they realized that Danny Tanner was everyone's perverted uncle
Right.
in terms of the stand-up.
But even with you saying that specifically, like perverted uncle, the thing that's funny is, as vulgar and as blue and as whatever as he could be, he still was that sweet man. It's just
Yes.
the jokes that were coming out on Full House versus the jokes that he would say on stage were just wildly different. But by all accounts, and even just when you see him in interviews and whatnot, like he just seemed to be, regardless of his jokes, he's just a sweet dude.
That's the thing that really hit home for me in all the remembrances, right? There is not one person who has anything negative to say. And the one thing you hear again and again, he never failed to let you know how important you were to him.
Yeah.
I keep thinking about that,
Mm-hmm.
like centering other people in his life.
Right.
And, Norm Macdonald passed away in September. We talked about that on here, and Bob Saget and him were obviously very close friends. And Bob Saget posted a remembrance of him on YouTube when he died.
Yeah.
It was like a half-hour thing of just him really just being emotional about his friends. And I listened to that back then, and then I after he passed away, I put it on again, and it just occurred to me, like, could he have imagined that, like, 4 months later he's going to be gone too?
Right.
Who can even think about that,
Right.
So it broke my heart that he's gone, but it also filled my heart with joy how much people loved him.
Mm-hmm.
I read a thread on Twitter by Josh Radnor, who played Ted on How I Met Your Mother.
Right.
And, on that show, Bob Saget was the older Ted voice.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh Radnor talks about the friendship that he forged with him on that show.
Right.
And when you think about it, I mean, that was a role that didn't really even require them to have a connection to each other.
Right. Right.
And yet they became friends. They stayed connected. And the thing you hear again, he the last time we talked, he told me he loved me, It's beautiful,
Yeah. Yeah. Really sad.
It is. And this is just that mark of, as you said, just getting older. All these names start becoming a lot more familiar to us.
And this isn't like a requirement or anything, but there is something especially sweet when you have the cast of Full House, right? Like a show that, I mean, I was the right age for that show. I realize that some people might be like, Full House, but like, I was just the right age for that show. And so even when I got older and knew it was, really, really saccharine and whatnot, I was like, yeah, but I like it. Like, I like these people. Right. And there's just something nice knowing that all these years later, that cast is still so close.
Yeah.
Right. And so, seeing, Dave Coulier and oh my gosh, Uncle Jesse. John Stamos. Just like they seemed like they really had the relationship that we saw to like those characters on the show in real life.
Yeah.
They were really bonded in that way. And there's just something extra special about that, as a fan of those people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think both of them put out statements that speak, in terms of losing a brother.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's incredibly sad. But going back to what I was saying earlier, I mean, when all is said and done, everything, all the worldly success and everything notwithstanding, ultimately all you have is how you made people feel.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Either you made people feel better or worse.
Right.
And big picture, that's all that matters,
Absolutely. Yeah.
There was a video posted on Instagram. I don't know if you saw this. It's Jeffrey Ross, the comedian,
mm-hmm.
and John Mayer. Did you see this?
I saw like the headline of it, but I didn't see the video.
It's worth watching. They drove to I think LAX
mm-hmm.
to get Bob Saget's car.
Right, because he was on the road.
He was on the road. He was in Florida when he passed away. So, I mean, he'd left his car at the airport.
Mm-hmm.
and they have this very sad job of like they have to get his car.
Yeah.
And so as they're driving, they're recording their thoughts about him and talking about him, and it's this window into this very private ritual almost,
Yeah.
that I found it's very revealing.
Yeah.
Because you have to be the kind of friend who would go do that, right? Like who is tasked with doing that job. Obviously, you have a level of presence in that person's life,
And what a nice thing to do. I mean, those are the things you don't think about, right?
Yeah.
And like a way for them to support a family that's probably has a lot more on their mind at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. So, Bob Saget, an immeasurable presence in our lives up to this point. So his loss is an impactful one. Let's take a short break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the new Scream. And we are back, and Brian, do you know what else is back?
What's that?
The Scream franchise.
What?
We have a brand new film in theaters now. As we record this, it is opening day, and it is already looking at a weekend in the $30 to $35 million range.
Yeah. I mean, this is probably the only thing that will could have knocked Spider-Man off the throne, right? After several weeks at number one.
Yeah. And considering the movie cost, I think $25 million, they will be comfortably in the black.
Oh man, that's great. And it doesn't need to cost more than that.
That's exactly right.
I thought the movie looked perfectly fine.
It's kind of crazy that this movie comes 26 years after the first film.
Yeah. I think I've seen that movie enough throughout the years, and it'll be on HBO or something, and I'll watch it, whatever. Like, I forgot that came out when I was like 16 years old.
Isn't that nuts?
It's sort of, maybe it hasn't, I don't know. But to me, it's always remained sort of in the conversation.
Yeah.
Or held up as one of the good ones. So it's just, I didn't realize it was that old. I mean, you could have almost convinced me that it was like a 99 or something, or closer.
Yeah. Well, I think it helps that obviously the sequels continued on, right?
Yeah.
So they sort of kept it in front of our eyes,
Yeah, and 4 was 2011, I believe.
2011,
right?
Yeah.
Which is almost over 10 years now.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh, my oldest kid, he just turned 15.
Oh.
And when the first Scream,
a waterbed business.
I hope he ropes me in. Yeah, if that's lets me know about that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I had just turned 17 when the first Scream came out.
Wow.
So like, he's like roughly the same age I was.
Huh.
That's the perspective I have.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Scream really was like a lightning bolt when it came out. I mean, it was like an instant zeitgeisty thing.
Definitely. There are movies where it's horror or action or whatever, like Die Hard, right? Where 80s action is sort of, Schwarzenegger muscles, or even like Chuck Norris and kicking people in the face with boots, and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, one movie rethinks the genre and becomes the staple, and then everything that follows is now in its either shadow or footsteps, right? And this was definitely, I think, in horror, one of those. Because then it led to all these other sort of self-referential horror teen.
I Know What You Did Last Summer, Urban Legend.
Yeah. Even Final Destination.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, people forget, because the 80s, when it came to slasher movies, right? You had Halloween, that was like late 70s.
Yep.
And then it led to just Freddy and Jason movies like every year in the 80s.
Right.
And I know I speak for myself when I say I didn't watch any of them. I believe that was the case for you too, for most of them at least.
I've seen a couple, but yeah, they're just not my cup of tea.
Like, it wasn't something you're like, ooh, the new Jason movie, right?
No.
And so by the early 90s, that trend had kind of faded away.
Mm-hmm.
There was like Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Right, which was kind of a weird sort of precursory sort of in
Scream,
spirit of Scream, where it was sort of
Yep.
self-examination, right?
Very much so, yeah. And that's like my favorite of those movies, to be honest.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, that's a movie that basically is about Wes Craven and Robert Englund and Heather Langenkamp.
Langenkamp. She
Gearing
of
up.
Just the 10 of Us fame.
Oh, right. But they're gearing up to make another Nightmare on Elm Street movie. That's the movie, and then the spirit of Freddy is basically terrorizing them. So pretty ahead of its time.
It was, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but the slasher, those like supernatural slasher movies had kind of faded away, and then Scream gave it a jolt. It was the self-referential, the comedic aspect, and I think the fact that it felt a little more grounded.
Yeah, it took it back to Halloween, right?
Yeah.
Where it's just sort of this presence that feels like it has a bit more power than you, chasing your friends. But it also, all the characters were horror movie experts, you know, or at least one of them was. But I mean, they're all familiar with horror movies and the tropes. And so when something would happen, they could be like, oh, please, like, I've seen Halloween, you know, like they would reference these movies, and they felt like they could survive this because they knew how they worked.
Yeah, so essentially you have the ability to hang a lampshade on all the stuff you're doing and saying, hey, this is just like that thing. You know?
Or don't say I'll be right back, because that means you're going to get killed, you know.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So in terms of the Scream films, where do you land on them? Like I'm assuming the first one is your favorite of those original ones.
Yeah,
but in terms of the sequels,
I've seen the first one several times. I like it. I still, will stop on it on TV. 2, weirdly, I've only seen like once.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it being fine, but I don't remember a lot of it, if I'm being honest. 3, weirdly, which is the one I think most people don't really tend to like, I've seen a handful of times too, and I don't know why that is, if it's just I've come across it a couple times, but I remember it pretty well. And it's definitely the sweatiest of all of them, but at the same time, I mean, I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. It's no 1. 1 is like a legit great movie, right?
Yes.
And then 4 I saw once in the theater, and I remember like having a fine time watching it, but I don't remember hardly a thing about it.
Yeah.
And I think it introduced a bunch of new characters, and I kind of forgot all of them. You know what I mean? Yeah. What about for you?
So when it comes to the Scream films, I like you. Like I really like the first one, and I'm like fine with all the rest of them. I think probably the second I thought was the best of the follow ups.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought 4. I only just recently watched 4.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's good. Like I like the characters.
Yeah.
The recurring characters.
Yes.
And so I enjoy their story, so I'm definitely, as anybody listening knows, I'm not a big horror buff, but as we talked about last time, it's always the mystery that's intriguing,
Yes.
I do love, by the way, I posted about this on Instagram, but I wrote a review of the new film for the Chronicle, and Matty Fack is Matty Amazing. He says, "Look at Mr. Scaredy Cat reviewing a spooker." So our audience knows us.
Yep.
They know us very well. I'm not a big fan of gore and viscera, but having a central mystery, that's what's intriguing to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was definitely ready for this new one.
Yeah, same. I'd kind of forgotten about it, and then I started seeing standees for it in the trailer, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm ready for this. I'm in the mood for this."
Yeah, so and I said this last time. I ended up really enjoying it. I like that it situates itself as as both an extension of and a critique of the legacy sequel trend that we're in the middle of right now.
Yes, which is super fun.
And I love that, because it really plays with those archetypes, and it does it in a fun way. And honestly, I think this is up there for me as, if not the best of the sequel, certainly the second best. It'd probably be kind of fighting it out with the second one. But I think I think very smartly. I mean, Wes Craven is gone; he passed away. But it feels of a piece with everything he did. It doesn't. they're not trying to reinvent the wheel. It feels very much like an honoring an extension of those earlier films.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much on the same page. I mean, I just love the central mystery of it, and I love that this movie, in the Scream movies, there have been movies made about these murders in this town called Stab, right? So they can comment on their own films by commenting on the Stab films in universe, which I think is a lot of fun. And so, we have our opening sequence where a girl is terrorized, and you see that in the trailer. And so then, the aftermath, you have these kids talking, but they are all like, well, this is how a horror movie would work. So it's got to, and it's just like, I love it. It's so much fun. You know what I mean? It's, but like you said, I mean, this one then, because of what's happening in the Stab series in universe, they're talking about requels,
right?
What they call them. So basically, like Ghostbusters Afterlife, right, where you can have the old characters, but you're also setting up new characters, and they even get into Star Wars and all the other Halloween and whatnot. They even make a joke. They're like, yeah, Stab 8, it's directed by that guy that did Knives Out. Kind of controversial.
I thought that was really funny.
Such a great joke. And that's what you're walking into. You know what I mean? Like this, I saw it with a friend, and he was occasionally put off by all the winky stuff, but I was like, that's kind of what these are,
That I was about to say. I mean, that's what you get with your ticket,
Yeah, and maybe it's more on the nose because film conversation has become more on the nose these days. You know what I mean? Like, it was almost revolutionary having the first one do what it did. It's sort of like in Clerks, if you think all the way back too, when the characters are talking about Return of the Jedi on like sort of a ground level, like, what about the contractors on the Death Star? Like, you'd never heard that before. And now it's like you're hard pressed to watch any movie that doesn't reference Star Wars or, those sorts of things. So I can see where it might feel a bit more familiar, or like we've done this, but I definitely appreciated the whole, like I say, the requel sort of take. And so they're treating their lives like, okay, we got to play by the rules of requels, which
that's really clever.
It's funny to me. Yeah.
Yeah. The mystery I found, I got caught up, and I'm like, well, who could it be? Who is it?
Yes.
And I thought the way the film manipulates our expectations of jump scares.
Yes.
There's a scene in a house.
Yes.
In the middle portion. I think you know what I'm talking about.
We'll get that in spoilers. We'll just say that's a good scene for now.
It's a good scene. Yeah, I won't get into
I
that.
agree with you, probably for the same reasons. I just don't want to tip anything.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah.
But I will say, if I do have one little ding, you can tell me I'm being too fussy or whatever, but like something about the kids didn't hit as strongly as I would have liked.
The new kids.
And I don't even know if maybe that's a brilliant choice where, the new films don't have characters that pop as well as the originals did. But like, I found myself feeling like they hired a bunch of people that looked pretty, and they looked like they were from some sort of CW show, but I felt like all of them were imitating other characters they'd seen in other movies or something, where it's like, you're the funny one. And so someone was like, okay, well, I'm going to talk like a funny character that I saw in another movie, but it didn't feel natural coming from a lot of them.
So I actually did turn this over in my head, because I don't think you're wrong, but I also wondered, at least in my sort of engaging with this, how much of that was me being the guy who's like, hey, well, I want to see Sidney Prescott. And I'm like, those are my Scream people.
Okay. So I do. This is so funny because I had a similar thought walking out, and I do stand by this. I feel like a couple of the actors who I'm sure are great when they're doing the thing that they're best at.
Yeah.
Were trying to imitate. It was almost like Dawson's Creek is referenced in here, but it's almost like someone watched. They're like, hey, I want you to be like Pacey, okay? And so some guy who isn't really like Pacey was like, okay, well, I'm going to act like Pacey because that's who they want me to be. And then it feels like someone acting like someone they're not.
Yeah.
And like, so, and it's like, I don't know. That's just something I felt with a couple of the characters. Some of them I thought were great. But I also did have that thought when I walked out, like, well, hey, I'm old. Like, you know what I mean? Like maybe a 16-year-old would be like, hey, that guy's cool. Hey, she's cool. You know, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, when I watched the first one, I remember, you know, yeah, of course, Sydney, and I remember the Rose McGowan.
But we
character.
were that, like, what did adults think of the cast of Scream?
Yeah, but you know, just to really try to put a point on my point, like Austin Powers said, I feel like Matthew Lillard is a crazy person, and he plays an unhinged person, right? So when even like in the middle of the film, when he's just like that kind of the friend who hangs out with the guy that you're like a little uncomfortable around, like Matthew Lillard feels like that guy. Mm-hmm. And then I think some of the people in here are sort of like the quippy person, but they don't feel like they're really a quippy person in real life.
Okay, I see.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and no, I get it. Yeah.
That was my only thing where I didn't feel like I connected a lot with the kids, but at the same time, I was intrigued by the central mystery the whole way through. And, you know, the funny thing about the structure of a Scream film is like they say sort of the axiom or whatever is like a screenplay for a 2-hour movie is about 120 pages. So the first act is supposed to be 30 pages. The second act is 60 and the third act is 30, right? 30, 60, 30. And I feel like with a Scream film, it's like 30, 60, 50. Like the third act is the bomb. And then,
right.
You know what I mean? Yep. And then not only is it the bomb drop, but then you need another mini movie where there's twists and fake outs and set pieces and da 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 da. And by the way, I'm saying that as like a compliment because that's what we showed up for. Yeah. You know, and I feel like this movie really delivered on that. Like I really enjoyed the third act a lot. I really enjoyed the first act a lot. I enjoyed much of the second act. I just was more endeared with certain characters than I was with others, I guess.
So, well, I will say this. Melissa Barrera, who plays kind of the lead of this film, I really liked her.
Me too. And her sister, I loved her sister, Tara. Jenna Ortega.
Jenna Ortega. Yeah.
She really, you know, I really was with her. You know what I mean? Like she felt like someone I cared about.
Yeah. You want to talk spoilers?
Yeah. It'll be a little easier.
Let's do it.
Spoilers.
All right, Brian, spoil this movie.
All right, first things first, something I really loved was they start off with basically, well, I think they all start this way, but like the Drew Barrymore scene, right? Where there's a character we don't know who answers a phone call and the scary voice is asking her scary movie trivia. And the twist in this movie is she gets stabbed and attacked, but she lives.
Right.
And I was like, what?
Right.
Which, going back, I guess maybe I was tipping my hand there a little bit earlier, but like the Jenna Ortega plays this person, and she's just she feels like your little sister, you know? So it was actually hard for me at the beginning seeing her terrorized because I felt really like, no, you can't hurt her. And then seeing her in the hospital for much of the film, again, that really works in her favor where you're like, I just want her to heal and I want her to be safe. And I thought that was a really cool twist at the beginning of this, you know, the fifth of these films, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, I think that's really, you know, when you say, well, this is the fifth one, like how do we preserve the formula while shaking it up? Mm-hmm. How much do we keep? How much do we, you know, and it had to wrestle with all the things that these legacy movies wrestle with. Right. Mm-hmm. And, you know, going in, okay, well, this is when I read the casting notice, you know, in the PR kit that they sent me, you know, it says, and Nev Campbell.
Right. I
was like, oh, she's the Anne now, you know?
Right.
So like I mentally already made that adjustment of like, oh, okay, we're doing a Force Awakens here, you know?
Yeah.
And they totally Han Solo Dewey, by the way.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny when I even before that hospital scene, I was like, oh, he's Han Solo.
Right? As soon as he doesn't get in the elevator, I was like, oh, this sumbitch gonna die.
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of the bummer of the burden of these films is like, you know, if they're going back, they're probably going to die, you know? But like,
Yep.
I did actually love his logic though, because it's so true. He's like, you don't shoot him in the head. It's no good.
Yep.
I was like, he's right.
Well, and I thought his death was really effective, by
Me
the
too.
way.
Me too.
The whole, just the way they played it was very like Dewey has been on borrowed time since movie 1.
Yeah.
Because he was supposed to die in that one.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, well, his number came up, but I think they made it worth it. And with that said, I think the way they incorporated both Gail and Sydney, they didn't feel extraneous. I mean, they were essential to the story.
Yeah.
And then with that in mind, the way it ties into movie 1, I thought was kind of brilliant, to be honest.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. And I mean, we can talk about it now. I mean, the whole plot is so meta.
Yep.
But I love it. Like, it's like these kids aren't happy with the way that the stab movies are going. And so they're like, well, we got to do something in real life to inspire a better story. Like,
right.
Kind of genius. I mean, that fits this series.
It fits the world we're in right now.
Yeah.
Where people have become such toxic assholes when it comes to franchises that they love.
I mean, they even literally call that out. These the killers at the end are basically saying like, we're, you call us toxic fans, but we're just passionate. Like.
So when you talk about Pacey, were you referring to Jack Quaid's character?
I actually wasn't, but it's funny because during the movie I was like, if that is not Joshua Jackson's son, then I know nothing. Actually, I liked him. I quite liked him.
I did too. I have to admit, when they revealed that he's the killer, I was kind of like, oh.
Me too.
Right.
But you know what? Then I guess it worked.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I mean? It was funny too, by the way. I had a moment with the other killer is played by Mikey Madison, who was one of the Manson kids from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, that's where I saw her.
Well, she says, we've got to carry the torch. And they're like, speaking of torches, and they light this fire. And I was like, no way does this girl get lit on fire again. She's totally torched in the other film.
But yeah, what I was referring to earlier, when that kid Wes, Marley Shelton's son, is in the house.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Please. Now go ahead.
Right. And you the killer's in the house.
Yes.
And it's just every time he opens a fridge or a cabinet, we've been conditioned. Oh, when he closes it, Ghostface is going to be standing there.
Yes. Because
they do that like
the door.
They do it like 18 times in a row. Which I found hilarious.
Yeah. And
they fake you out 18 times, and then on the 19th time, he's there.
Well, it is funny because it begins with him in a shower, which is a very vulnerable position anyway. Oh, and I like that too, because the Ghostface is talking to his mom.
Yes.
And says something about, you ever see Psycho? And then it cuts straight. It imitates that shot from Psycho of the shower head spraying.
That's right. Yeah.
And there's something very vulnerable about being in a shower, right? And so immediately I'm uncomfortable because I'm like, is he going to come in there and attack him? No, he gets a towel. He's okay. And then he opens his bedroom door and you're like, no. Oh, he's okay. And then he goes downstairs to like open the fridge and he's okay. And he's like, and then he gets silverware out of and he's okay. Like, it was very funny.
Yeah. I think the general structure of the film, where it's meant to be almost a direct sequel to the first movie.
Yeah.
I found that effective. Like, it's weird how that house.
Yes.
Like, there's that moment. Like, we've been in the house in this film.
Yes.
And then you suddenly see that stairwell or whatever, and you're like, "Oh my god, it's the same house."
I didn't realize it. Yeah.
Right, and it was they staged that so well. And the other thing I wanted to mention is the Skeet Ulrich.
Yes.
In this movie, now Skeet Ulrich is playing Billy Loomis from 1996.
Yeah.
And Brian, the technology has been perfected at this point.
Yeah, it's so good. I was like, is that him? Is that a computer? Is that whatever? Like, I couldn't tell what technique they used, and I think that's where we're at.
Like, I mean, if you told me that they used unused footage from 1996 and dropped it in, I would believe you, because that's how seamless it looked.
Yeah, that's actually, at first that's what I thought they did.
Yeah,
because it sounded like he was saying lines that I felt like I remembered.
Yeah.
But then he starts saying other things and he appears in different places. And you're like, oh, this is just some sort of weird combination of probably all the tricks they have available.
Yeah. Well, and with that in mind, I mean, making the Sam, Melissa Barrera's character, making her connected to him directly.
Yeah.
It felt, on the one hand, you're like, oh, geez, come on. But it feels entirely of a piece with what these movies do.
100%.
Right? Because in the third one, the killer is like Sidney's half brother from this. That's what these movies do.
Yeah. I mean, there's like some sort of lineage. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it does. I mean, clearly this movie's performing. They're going to have every intention of coming back.
Yeah. That's the thing that's sort of special to these movies, but almost, I say exhausting, and I don't mean it in a bad way, because I will watch the next one, but it's almost if you lived in this world, the thing is you can't just kill Michael Myers and have it be over. It's like people keep taking up the mantle of this thing.
Yeah.
So it's like you're really never safe.
That's right.
Right? Which has got to be sort of like, to them.
Yeah, if this is indeed meant to be a torch-passing movie, the thought I had was, let's say we do another Ghostface's Back movie. How do you not have Sid in it?
Yeah. And I don't want to get to the point, though, where they like kill her.
That was the other thought I had. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of like, let's let Gale and Sid like just right into the sunset.
Yeah, and I'm glad they've never made it her. That would just be,
right.
Yeah,
and if you keep going, eventually it's going to happen.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I don't want that.
I gotta say, I thought David Arquette just blended into the mix perfectly.
Oh yeah,
like
I thought he was fantastic.
I thought him grizzled. He's always got some quirk going on with everything he does. So you're always sort of like prepared to laugh at anything he says. But his sort of sad life, like I really sympathized with the character.
No, totally, yeah.
And then when he shows up to help the kids, it made me happy, and his defensiveness of them, and I thought he blended in with these new characters really well.
Just before his death scene, right, when he's fighting Ghostface off, he's like, "Not today," and you're like, "Yeah, screw you, Ghostface."
Yep.
and then Ghostface like, "Yes, today."
Yes.
Oh, dude. And boy, do they make sure to clarify, no, he's entirely dead.
Yes, he gets double knifed.
They're like, his intestines are draped across that hospital floor. Right. They're like, yeah, no, he's extremely dead.
Yeah, technology has allowed us much more visceral knifings. Like that kid by the door, I was like, that is in his neck. Like,
right? Yeah.
It's also out his neck. Yeah.
Jeez. I thought the tie-in with Jamie Kennedy's character was fun also.
Yes. Yeah. He's got his memorial home theater in their house.
Right. And it's funny because they have this massive picture of him blown up, and it's clearly like low resolution.
That's funny.
It's not a good quality picture, but like that's all they have of him.
That's hilarious. I didn't even notice that.
Other thoughts about Scream, not Scream 5, but it is the fifth Scream.
Yeah, by the way, I was reading a review of it, and it said Scream 22. And I was like, what the heck does that mean? And I was like, whoa, 2020, it's 2022.
It is 2022.
I still think of last year as 2020.
I know, I'm still in that space too, exactly.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it's just, I don't really know what there is to complain about. I mean, I think if you're a fan of Scream films, it's just a good time. It's another great mystery. And the thing is too, the films, that's always the thing us as the audience knows, right? Like, well, it's one of these suspects. But I love that in this movie, they're like, well, it's got to be one of us, like playing by the rules of the staff.
Well, the poster, did you see the poster
of
this one?
I'm not sure if I have.
It's one of those posters where, the face montage.
I'm looking at it now, yeah.
And it says the killer is on the poster.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm looking at like a little thumbnail of it.
Yeah, that's the tagline.
The killer. Fantastic. But I love too at the end. Now we're spoilers. I keep like holding myself back. But with the little sister at the end when she's in the closet and the boyfriend's trying to convince the older sister like it's got to be her.
Yeah.
And there's a little part of me was like, oh wow. Like,
Right?
maybe
It kind of
is.
works.
I don't know how it would have worked, at the beginning, but like, wouldn't that be something? Like it really did have me believing everything the movie wanted me to believe up until the big reveals, and that's why I'm there. And
revisiting all of the Scream films in the lead up to this, and then watching this one, this is for people listening who wouldn't know this, but way back in the day, Brian and I, along with several of our friends, we made a little student film.
Yes.
Called Something Freaky.
Something Freaky.
And it was written by Sean and Paul Shirey was in it, and you and I, and Sean, of course, was in it. And revisiting these films, I was like, man, Sean was like really influenced by Scream.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was probably made like 2 years after or something, right?
Right down to no, it's not me, it's him. Like
yes. It's so true, and it's about film students, right? And so, kind of commenting on things, right?
Yep.
Because we were in community college, the same community college at the time, in a film class, and this is something they'd never let you do anymore. But they let us film there after hours, like just run around the building with
knives.
Blood. Yeah, with knives and guns, and literally going into empty classrooms and jumping over tables, and I mean, it's amazing when you think about it.
I got strangled in the toilet.
Really?
Yep, that's my memorable death.
I gotta watch it again. I know I have it somewhere. I really want to watch it now.
I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember getting noosed while making Big Potty.
That is hilarious.
Yes. So
Something freaky.
Look for that not on YouTube. I don't know where that is, but
yeah. I feel like a VHS of it or something.
Wait, weren't you the killer in that?
I was, yeah.
You were the killer.
Yeah.
You're the Matthew Lillard of this whole thing.
Yep.
Or the Jack Quaid, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Okay, so that wraps up a little bit of reminiscence there.
Yep.
Wrapped into
Thank you for letting us do that.
Wrapped into our discussion of Scream 5.
No, Scream. Good time. It's a good time.
Just a good time.
Yeah.
So hey, that is our Scream discussion, and that's kind of the big release of January because everything else is moving out of the way because of Omicron.
Yeah, this is a real murky moment. I'm very curious how things are going to play out in the next several weeks.
Well, one thing that will not be happening is our discussion of Morbius.
Yeah. I just saw an article yesterday that said it's the 2-year anniversary of the first trailer of Morbius.
That's right. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait until April for you to show how apathetic you are about that movie.
You got ahead of my dig. That's
but we will be back, Brian, next time with our commentary track celebrating the 5th anniversary of Rogue One, a Star Wars story. I mean, technically, December was the 5th anniversary, but whatever. We don't follow your math rules on this show.
Yeah.
Don't judge us.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. I haven't seen this one in a little while, so I'm actually looking forward to revisiting.
Same. And it's one, every time I watch it, I feel like I appreciate it even more. And I started off liking it, so I'm kind of looking forward to digging in.
That's going to be a fun one. And by the way, have you been watching the Book of Boba Fett?
I have. I'm up episode 3 at this point, right?
Episode 3. Yeah, we're 3 in.
Yeah.
And that's I have thoughts on that. I'm not over the moon about that show yet.
Yes.
But there's aspects of it I enjoy. I'm enjoying Tamura Morrison.
Absolutely.
But there's a lot of stuff happening where I'm like, what's happening here?
It's funny because, the things that I'm not connecting with, I'm really not connecting with, but the things that I am connecting with, I'm really connecting with.
So that's a weird place to be.
Yeah, and I guess, for the sake of not throwing any spoiler warning out there, but there's, sort of like, gosh, I don't know. What can I talk about then? But I don't know.
Well, let me just in this 3rd episode, there is a high-speed chase, which may be the slowest high-speed chase I've ever seen.
Yeah. I don't quite know what the thinking was. I'm a little curious, but.
And it's directed by Robert Rodriguez, by the way.
Yes, which you get a Danny Trejo cameo as a Rancor Wrangler, which is kind of fun.
Yes.
But yeah, I will say, first one I thought was fine. Second one I liked a lot. Third one I was like, let me sit on this.
Yeah.
And I was then sort of comforted a bit by seeing that I was not alone, with reactions. But, I remain open-minded, and I just love existing in this universe. And I'm just kind of hoping as they continue to unfold that it'll all kind of come together.
I like Tamara Morrison as this character, so I'm happy to just see him doing his thing. But I think it's 6 episodes, in which case we're halfway through, and
Wow.
and not a ton has happened.
Yeah, wow, I didn't know that. I am curious what what it's all leading to.
Yeah. Well, I guess by the next time we do a regular show, it may very well be over, so we'll be able to talk about it, in toto.
Yeah.
So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We hope you enjoyed our discussion about Scream. And if you have any reactions or counterpoints, please send them our way. We're always happy to have you tell us how wrong you are. That's okay. It's totally okay. It's fine. We don't judge. But if you do want to send us your comments, you can email us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit like on our Facebook page, facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast, and message us there. If you're looking for me online, you can find me on Twitter at Zacky's Corner. That's ZAKIS Corner. And my reviews can be found regularly at the San Francisco Chronicle. As I mentioned, my review of Scream is up right now. Also, I looked at the premiere episodes of the new DC Comics based series on the CW called Naomi. This is executive produced by Ava DuVernay, and I enjoyed that one as well. So check those out. And Brian, what about you?
Season 5 of Puppy Dog Pals has just kicked off as of this morning, so it's really fun to see work that was like months and months ago finally existing in 3D on TV. So Puppy Dog Pals on Disney Plus, and Disney Junior.
There you go. And as always, if you like what we're doing, please go to Apple Podcasts and leave a review, leave a star rating. Every little bit helps, and we appreciate all of that feedback. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and put a pin in episode 239 of the Movie Film Show. We will be back with our Rogue One commentary and, of course, our next regular show soon. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Welcome, friends. It's the Movie Film Podcast.